Hello everybody, welcome to another Wolf Cup 2012 production. My name is Wolfmania 2012, also known as but I'm here with my bro over here,
Luke.
Whose name is Luke. So what we're going to be doing today, this is kind of be sort of like a podcast thing with a video. We have 3 separate lists here on plain white paper that we have not ripped up yet. 3 lists here that we want to talk about is going to be a Pokemon video, finally, that I have not uploaded in about forever. We have 3 separate lists here. We have the top 6 starters, 1 per gen, top worst 6 starters, 1 per gen, and then the top 5 Dragon Legendaries. By the way, this list is completely biased, other than some slight mention of the stats.
Mention of stat issues based on, like, 2nd gen, based on, like, the legendary dragons and stuff like that.
And keep in mind that we're basing these starters off of the generation they were mentioned in. So that means
we're not including megas.
We're not including megas for the generation, so no! I don't know what I was going to say there. I wanted to say something, but then I was about to ruin the list for everyone. That would have been awkward. I was about to say, no, this Pokemon is not on the list, but that would have ruined it.
So
hold on one sec, I gotta... Okay. Fairy types are not included until we get to the 6th generation Pokemon. For example, like, there's not going to be any fairy types if we mention the 6th generation. So,
yeah.
I hope you get what I'm understanding. We're not mentioning fairy types until...
We're not mentioning any weakness of fairy types.
Unless it's the 6th generation Pokemon, which it may or may not have a weakness. So, let's continue with the video. The first list we have here is the top 6 starters from each generation. At the number 6 spot... Now keep in mind, we're only choosing 1 Pokemon per each generation.
Per generation.
Luke, what is the number 6 Pokemon on the list?
Cyndaquil.
Cyndaquil from Generation 2 is the best of that generation. This one is pretty much completely biased, because I hate Generation 2 with a burning passion. It's just a bad generation to me, but that's for a different video. Cyndaquil was a decent special attacker, he has some good speed, and he was pretty cool in his badass design. He had flames coming out of his neck. Luke, would you like to say anything?
We're gonna give there's an honorable mention to Chikorita, who, if he had better stats, then he probably could have made the list as a tank and healer.
But he's very, very balanced. Like, his HP...
Way too balanced.
He's wicked balanced. He's not... There's not one stat that kind of just outranks the rest. Everything's just kind of evenly leveled. Yeah, so moving on. We have the next one, which is number 5 on the list. Who is... Oshawott. Oshawott from Generation 5 is the best from that generation.
However, Generation 5 was never... The starters were never really good. They've never made any of my favorites.
Yeah, Generation...
This is truly majorly biased.
Generation 5 was not the best Pokemon generation whatsoever, but it was not a bad generation by any means. The starters were... which is why Oshawott's on the list. Oshawott was the best of the starters. Tepig and Snivy were kind of a tie, but no, Oshawott... Tepig and Snivy are like right here, Oshawott's like right here. It's just one step ahead. It's just better moves, better stab moves, better coverage, sort of better stat quality. I don't know, I liked it better.
Take care of both the other starters when it becomes Samurott.
It's overall better. Moving on, we have number 4 on the list, which is...
Bulbasaur.
The Generation 1 best Pokemon. All Gen 1ers about to just scream at the screen because everyone hates Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is not bad. We're not counting the Mega Evolution here, which would probably place it higher on the list.
Yes.
But Bulbasaur in Generation 1 was not a bad Pokemon. It was really actually good. It had all the Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, Leech Seed, the Giga Drain, stuff like that. When it evolved, it gained the Poison coverage, which destroyed other grass types. It is really good.
It's always been a poison type.
Yeah, derp to derp, it has always been a poison type. But people don't see that because
it's
Charmander.
Because everyone started off with Charmander.
Charmander or Squirtle like me, which I honorable mention to Squirtle. He was going to be on the list, but we had to make a decision here whether Cyndaquil was going to be in the list or Chikorita, and then Bulbasaur or Squirtle. So I got Cyndaquil, he got Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur, the only reason it didn't place higher on its list was because there wasn't much of a challenge in its original generation.
Yeah, it was just... Bulbasaur was a good Pokemon to go through if you wanted to complete the game. It had some good sleep moves. You could get Abra pretty easily. It was a lot easier to capture some Pokemon. It was a lot easier to kind of just train through knowing sleep power. You could put Pokemon to sleep, swap it in, get some EXP. It was just a lot easier to use Bulbasaur. It's a lot better. It made the gameplay more fun. Yeah, that's right. More fun.
Less challenging.
Less challenging, but fun.
For some.
Yes. Moving on.
Others like a challenge.
Moving on, we have number 3, which is Chimchar. The Generation 4 Pokemon we chose to put on the list is Chimchar. The reason being, I love Chimchar the best. I hate Empoleon. I hate Torterra.
I love Torterra, but I'm great with Infernape.
Infernape's kind of just a better starter. Torterra, stat-wise, is probably
a bit better.
But
Infernape could probably sweep it before it got a chance to attack.
Yeah, it's just not fast enough. It's not fast enough. I mean, one hit KO probably using an Earthquake, but it's not fast enough. With Empoleon, it's kind of outclassed. Its stats aren't the greatest. I mean, if it had more... What I use Empoleon for, because I'm a competitive battler, I use Empoleon for a setup. I don't really use him for an attack, or I don't really use him as a rooster or anything else. It has to be a setup for me. It doesn't work otherwise. It's just overall not that great. So Chimchar, great move pool. It can be a special attacker or a physical attacker, still with the great speed that it has. And you want to put anything else in?
No.
Okay, covered everything. Number 2.
Torchic.
This is your one to talk about.
Basically, Torchic, it's amazing in its generation. It's got some challenges, some easy battles. Then you get to an honorable mention, Trico. It had a chance at making the list for the sake that it's Dominic's your favorite.
Trico all the way.
But
sorry, Mudkip.
Let's just admit it. Trico isn't the best move pool wise and stat wise.
Trico gets outclassed fairly easily.
Yeah. Torchic, the reason Torchic outranked Chimchar on this list, if you compare, Chimchar's got a little bit more speed, but if you look at it, Torchic's got hidden ability is Speed Boost. Chimchar's is Iron Fist. Going through, Turn 1, Torchic would be a little bit slower than Chimchar. Turn 2, he'd pretty much overtake it. And, yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. Torchic's hidden ability did place him a lot higher on the list than Chimchar. Not better than the number 1 on the list, which is you're going to find out pretty soon. It's kind of obvious. I mean,
yeah,
come on, but...
It's going to be from Gen 6 and...
But, well, we can't tell him yet because it's not there. So, yeah, his hidden ability definitely put him over on the list. Chimchar is a better move pool, but Torchic is just overall better in competitive battling. Well, I mean, Blaziken is not Torchic. Yeah. But, yeah.
However, we believe it's a better move pool since we haven't really had the time to look online for Torchic's move pool.
But yeah, it's just, yeah. So, moving on. The number 1 Pokemon on the list is Froakie. Froakie is the best of Generation 6. It outclasses Chestnut. It outclasses Fennekin.
It sweeps through. With its hidden ability, Protean, it changes to a monotype of whatever moves used.
Which automatically gives a stat for every move it uses. It's amazing.
If you have a Pokemon you're facing that has super effectivity on Froakie, not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, you got something? Oh, you got a nice bug type there. Here, Ice Beam, Stab, no longer super effective against me. Oh, you have a nice little grass type there. I can't think of it.
Ice Beam.
Ice Beam again. Boom. Man, that was a bad one. I had to think of a different move.
Super effectivity.
Super effective fighting type. Extra sensory. Boom. Automatically win. It's really good for its generation. It outclasses all of the other starters by far, and it's overall the best starter of any Pokemon game.
Obviously.
Would you like to move on to the next list?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Do we crumple this paper up?
Probably.
We did it. Now the 6 worst starters of each generation. 1 per generation again. And I really don't like this number 6 pick. I really do not want to put him on the list. But number
we had
6,
to include one from each gen.
since we had to include one from each gen.
Remember the fact that 6 is the best. First, 6 is best, 1 is worst.
So 6 is the best of the worst starters.
Which is
Mudkip. Now, the only reason Mudkip is on this list is because we needed one from each generation. Mudkip is not a bad Pokemon by any means. I mean, its final typing is kind of meh. But overall, it's a good Pokemon. There's not much else I want to say on it. It outclasses every single thing on here.
And it's quad weak to Pokemon. If leaks about the Mega typing are correct, though, it's not going to be the only one of its generation starters quad weak to another.
Yeah, Trico will be quad weak to Ice type if Koro is correct. But I don't know about Mudkip. Its Mega Evolution looks like it's took a whole lot of steroids.
Yes.
Feed it friggin'.
It looks pretty ugly as it is, but
Mudkip's cute though. I like Mudkip.
Mudkip's cute, but Samurot's pretty ugly.
So that's our generation 3. Now, for number 5, we have, and hold on, Gen 1ers, prepare to have your mind just exploded and prepare your fingers, prepare your caps lock button for the hate that's about to happen. Charmander is the 5th worst starter of all the generations.
There are a few main reasons, like the fact that everyone loves Charmander because it was their first Pokemon, and that the love for your starter is always there.
Charmander was not very good for me. I could not use Charmander. He was not that viable in battle. He'd get destroyed pretty quickly against a lot of stuff people would use.
You had pretty much no chance against the Rock Gym starting with him.
Yeah, no. You'd have to do something special. You'd have to get it up pretty high. Metal Claw or something.
Yeah.
You'd have to do something else.
He was definitely the most challenging of his generation.
Which doesn't make him a bad Pokemon. Like that's not. I'm not trying to say he's a bad Pokemon.
Yeah,
but
he's just not the best of his
generation. He's not the best of his gen. I like Bulbasaur better. I like Squirtle better. I do not like Charmander as much.
And for all of you who saw this coming with our mention of Squirtle as an honorable mention earlier,
probably, yeah, I gave it away, but
just
stop.
Just don't.
Don't ruin it in the comments, friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, Charmander is the worst of Generation 1. Now for number 4, we have the worst of 6th gen.
Fennekin.
Moving on to number 3. No, nothing more should be said about Fennekin. Okay, so
for Generation 4, I mean Gen 6, Chestnut was an amazing tank, which qualified him. Fennekin, yeah, I could use it. I could beat the game with it pretty easily. I just didn't like it. Its typing isn't the best, but yeah.
I'm looking at some competitive wise. I don't know what its final evolution's name is. Delphox. He is an okay thing to use. I mean, Calm Mindset with a lot of special attacks or choice specs.
Calm Mind, Mystical Fire.
But then you got like Knockoff, Sucker Punch, Froakie. I mean, it's outclassed pretty easily.
Yeah.
There's not much more to say other than its typing kind of weakened it a little bit. I'm glad it wasn't a fire fighting.
Yeah.
But
I think
Fire
we've
Fairy
already
probably
got
could have.
3 firefighting starters in a row.
Fire Fairy could have been better. For the number 3 list, there was not much else we could put on this list. Did we make an honorable mention for Gen 2?
Yes.
Okay, for Generation 2, our worst starter is Totodile.
You already saw this coming if you listened to the honorable mention, but again, don't spoil it for the others.
Gen 2 had some decent starters, as said before.
The starters were decent, the gameplay itself wasn't that good.
But Totodile has to be the bottom of the barrel for Gen 2 for the starters. Its move pool is okay. I mean, it learns some good moves to help it out, but
the only reason it didn't end up second was because it had super effectivity. It could easily learn ice type moves, which helped deal with the 8th gym and the Elite Four, so on.
And it was a lot better than and it was a lot worse than using the other 2 starters. I mean, Meganium, you could transform that thing into a tank, special attacker, wall, whatever you wanted to do.
Typhlosion was just a straight out special attacker.
But Totodile is like, you have to use it as a physical attacker, and I don't feel like it had the move pool in Generation 2 to be a physical attacker. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't like Generation 2 that much, but Totodile is the worst. Now, number 2 was going to be Totodile, but we switched it up after doing a little bit of research on it. It is...
Tepig.
Tepig. Generation 5's worst starter was Tepig. No, it is not Snivy. Snivy has way better stats than Tepig.
Snivy has weaker attack and special attack than its defenses, and
But
it's got
if you-
amazing speed.
It's got amazing speed. It's got really good special defense and regular defense. Believe it or not, go look it up. Give this thing Calm Mind or something. Calm Mind, Substitute, Leech Seed, Giga Drain. This thing could be a beast in competitive battle if you give it the chance. It's not... It doesn't have the moves for it. It's the only issue. It doesn't have any, like, Swords Dance status... Well, it does know Swords Dance. But it doesn't have those kinds of moves where... Moves like Nasty Plot boost it something times 2. It doesn't have that kind of move unless you want it to be a physical attacker, which you should not do with Superior.
No.
No. Probably should be a special attacker, so a stall set would probably be your best bet. But if it just had that extra oomph with that times 2 raise for a special attack or something, it'd be that much better.
And yet it still places above Emboar on our list.
Now, Tepig. Tepig was definitely an okay starter to go through with. It was definitely not by far a bad Pokemon.
worst.
It was pretty good, but in its generation... There was a lot better. You could have done a lot better with fire types and fighting types.
His weakest stat happens to be the main attack of his two of his biggest threats, Psychic and Water.
His lowest stat was his special defense.
Yeah.
Psychic types had a field day. Water types had a field day. Ground types just destroyed him because he was a fire type. I mean, there was not much else he could do.
Yeah.
Sorry. And do you want to just move on to number 1?
Yes.
The absolute worst starter. Piplup.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, I don't really feel like I want to say anything else about it.
Yeah.
Piplup was horrible.
Exactly.
He was not very good at all.
He might have been able to take out the first gym of his generation, but second gym, I had an Empoleon level 40 before I could manage to take it out.
That's a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, let's go
No,
with
it's
that.
not an exaggeration.
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
I had a Starly level 20 and an Empoleon level 40 and still couldn't beat it.
I'm gonna have to deny that. But yeah, it was not good at all. That's the end of this topic. We don't need to talk about Piplup anymore.
Yeah, Piplup just stunk.
Now, the final list is the top 5 legendary dragons. Is this the right list?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay, at number 5. This is not from every single generation, by the way. We did leave out quite a few. I'm gonna tell you right now, Zygarde sucks and he's not on the list.
Yeah.
So don't worry, no 6th
We
gen.
instantly looked at him and were like, no.
Okay, we should probably speed this list up. I don't know how much memory I have on this.
Yeah.
Rayquaza is number 5. It is just an absolute beast with its special attack and attack stat. It's definitely an uber Pokemon.
Yeah.
The reason it's number 5 is because even though it is really fast, its defenses are incredibly weak, making it destroyed by anything with Ice Fang that can outspeed anything with Ice Beam that can outspeed any Ice type attack, any Dragon that can outspeed it. It gets destroyed a lot.
Yeah. And for number 4, we
number 3 and
didn't
4.
technically have a 4th because there was a tie for 3.
There was a 3 and 4 was a tie, so it's Zekrom and Reshiram.
Yeah.
We could not come to a standstill on which one was better.
We came to a standstill on which one was better.
No, we could not come to a standstill. We can't decide which one's better.
Yeah, a
I like
standstill
Zekrom.
is...
Oh, yeah, my bad. We have come to a standstill. Which one's better? I like Zekrom more. He likes Reshiram more. I think that Zekrom could easily take out Reshiram with one quick outrage or something like that.
But it really depends on which
It would depend on what you
run.
have to run on it. Max speed, or do you want max attack, max HP? I don't know. Whatever you want to run on it. But number 3 and 4 are Zekrom and Reshiram.
Yeah.
Number 2
is Black Kyurem.
Black Kyurem is just better than White Kyurem. I feel like in Black and White 2 it was a better one to use than White Kyurem.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot more.
Yeah. With 700 attack thanks to Choice Specs Max...
Choice Band.
Choice Band,
Choice
whatever
Band Max
called.
attack. It'll have over 700 attack stat, which is huge. And then that on top of Outrage, use something like Iron Head, Fusion Bolt. It just does massive amounts of damage. Do we go to number 1?
Of course.
And now the number 1 on the list.
Everyone...
Well, you might not have seen this coming, but...
You probably... You should have, though. Dialga.
It's Dialga. The Steel Dragon from Generation 4 is the #1 dragon type.
I've always said I love Reshiram more than Dialga, but Dialga's a pure beast.
Dialga is an extreme beast. Its only real weakness being
fighting and ground.
Fighting and ground. Yeah, fighting and ground. Which that is a very large portion of anything, but of all the Pokemon, but it'll outspeed that quickly and destroy them very easily. Moves like Roar of Time, which you shouldn't use in competitive battling, but moves like that, it just gives it a huge edge over others. Anything you want to say?
Honestly, the portion of Pokemon that Dialga's weak to, while it may not be quite as large as the combination of water and bug types in the entire Pokemon game, which is about a quarter, may still be large, and Dialga could still destroy them.
So that was our top 5 list of the top 5 legendary dragons. Dang it. So those were 3 separate lists. We have another video hopefully coming up because this is about to destroy the battery on my iPod. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any disagreements about our pickings for the top 6 best starters, top 6 worst, and the top 5 dragons, please leave some constructive criticism down in the description.
But remember, these lists are biased.
Remember, these lists are biased. They are our opinion. You can disagree, which most of you probably, most Gen 1ers would definitely disagree.
Yeah.
Bulbasaur's the best. Charmander's the worst. Thank you all for watching. Have a great time. And take care. And see you. And take care.